Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM 22 Career Mode, episode 94, and we're into the new season, the 2027 season now. We made it a long ways, and obviously we're hoping to be even more competitive than last year. We're more comfortably in the World Tour, but of course, 2 years running, our best threat in the GC has left us. We couldn't afford to hang on to them, so we now have a Grand Tour winner, but he's no longer our man. Krantz is gone. We're replaced with the guy who finished second in a Grand Tour and other support riders. So can we fill that void and continue to be as good or better than a year ago, where we were able to win one Grand Tour and at least claim a jersey in each of the three Grand Tours? We'll see what our goals and objectives are for the year, laid out for us by the sponsor here in just a moment. And then I've got a number of things to check in on. I need to set up my scouting of the juniors. I've got one rider who needs changing of their assignment with trainer. And somebody, if you follow my new Dragon series, somebody has had a change of training structures, and that is Portugal. Winner of the Cyanide Trophy, Pogačar, came in first ahead of Krantz and Van der Poel. So Krantz was close, getting second place, but he does not win that trophy. And it looks like we're going to have research and development R&D with both Giant and Shimano, and we have moved up a little bit in terms of sponsor selection this year. Speaking of sponsor selection, we now have the Bahrain-based Bapco as our sponsor with 253,000 and a huge estimation max of over 500,000. Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, those are their base. We don't have riders from there, so that part's going to hurt. It's going to be a little bit harder to find that max, but look at the jump in budget potential for next season, going from 253,000 up to 319,000. That is a healthy jump. Healthy. Almost 70,000 higher than where we're at right now. What do they care most about? La Vuelta, which won't count. So Strade Bianche, Amstel Gold, top 5 in the Tour de France. So we are going to be heading for a GC target for the Tour de France this year, and a top 5 at the Giro, and a top 3 at La Vuelta. So GC is Bapco's interest, and I do think it's time that we head for that, because the last couple of years we've had alternative focuses. We've had a green jersey focus, we've had a polka dot jersey focus. Even La Vuelta this last season, we might have been able to win it if not for two things. One, 3 time trials, and time trialing just was not our strength. 2, we quick simmed all those punchy stages, and Moss, the guy who eventually won almost each and every one of those stages that we had quick simmed on. So you handle things a little differently, manage each of those stages. We're probably not losing the time we lost to him there, and even with those 3 time trials, we nearly had his number. But La Vuelta, 2 time trials this year, including a shorter team time trial. That seems a lot more doable than what we had last year. It is a 31K individual time trial, though. For the Tour de France, where we have that top 5 objective, it's the Giro that's going to be a tough one, as it has the 3 time trials. But the good news on 2 of those is one's punchy, but 42K. One is mountainous, 26K. So we might be able to hide our shortcomings in the time trial a little bit based on profile. But then the Tour de France, only a single mountainous time trial and a lot of mountain stages. Only 2 punchy stages, meaning the pure climbers, the Lenny Martinez. Oh, that is his kind of race right there. And just kind of looking at that basic profile without having the Bahraini, the Middle Eastern riders that will please the sponsor. Overall popularity of riders will obviously help make up for that shortcomings, but they're not going to give us a very good squad evaluation. But keeping popular guys in the races, especially in the sponsor objectives, and getting good results will make up for it. And if we are first again this year in the overall for the Super Prestige and for the World Tour, if we pull that off, I think we'll be just fine. We'll get our max evaluation. But here's the races that matter: Strade Bianche, Milano Sanremo, the Ronde a little bit, but Paris-Roubaix, Amstel Gold, LBL, the Giro, and the Tour de France. So the 3 Grand Tours, and then most of the classics / monuments that we're going to face is what we're going to have to focus on. That's not necessarily our strong suit, as you know, punchy is kind of our best. Sprint is probably our second best. So GC third and classics fourth, and that's what we're going to have to focus on. Could make it a little bit tricky, but I do think we'll ultimately be okay. Half the team is 5 stars or better right now. Mikkels, Bach, Newman, Taraskin, Gonzalez, Gerage. So 2 new guys already up there. Azumi, Vandenberg, Bausch, Piccioni above are all 5.5. So we already have 5 5.5 star guys at the start of this season with Piccioni, Huggins, Newman, Morgado, Peters, and Lenny Martinez. And Morgado's big time. So I think we are close to having what we need on a replacement for, well, the problem here is he's more, at least current profile. He's only 22 and still has potential. He's more of a replacement for the other top guy we lost. We lost 2 of them. What was his name? Oh my goodness, I've forgotten him already. I have, but it's climbing where he still has potential, which will help that GC side. So we can still get, you know, what looks like another 3+ points in mountain. Time trialing wise, he's got a 74 time trial and a 73 prologue. He can absolutely, if we can get him to an 80-81 mountain, compete in GC for one of the races, especially with that 80 hills. He could go off in a race that's maybe a mix of the 2 that's got some punchy stages. He can go claim some punchy stages, pick up 20 seconds, pick up 10 seconds, pick up 30 seconds here and there on a punchier stage. Breaking things down just briefly, obviously our 2 main targets for the year are GC at the 3 Grand Tours, and then classics, whether it's, you know, punchy or cobbled. So just looking at those few profiles, Lenny Martinez is now, you know, alone without Krantz up there with that 82 mountain rating. He doesn't have quite the level of support we had a year ago, but Gonzalez, Piccioni, both 79s, Garzon, 78 climbing, Morgado, Azumi coming in with 77s, and Karaman coming in with a 76. So there's plenty of potential with those guys to make a jump, hopefully in the near future, and get that little bit better. But to compete for a Grand Tour, you're going to need that and time trialing. Now, hopefully Martinez can get a little bit better. I think we're focusing on training. He's maxed out his mountain rating, I believe. So we're focusing on training his time trialing now. If he can get, you know, prologue to jump into the low 70s and that time trial to get at least mid 70s this season, then he's got a decent shot with help. We're probably looking at trying to do Giro and La Vuelta for him, where we've got a better shot at coming away with those. And then, more likely, giving Morgado his shot with whatever supporting role we can get in the Tour. Tougher ask to get much, but, you know, maybe we could squeeze out a top 5, especially if he levels up a bit. Like right now he's only that 77, and he could cap out at that 80, but he has a better time trialist than most of these other guys. So I might save Morgado and some of the younger climbers for the Tour de France. So kind of the new wave of guys coming in, maybe a, you know, Last Hurrah or Chigai, who he's almost maxed out and really doesn't offer much else for us, so the Algerians probably done after this season. We only have 3 expiring contracts: Chergai, Martinez, and the other one is somebody. Who is it? Bausch is the other expiring contract. So Bausch falls into this next group. So the cobbled riders, Jaraj now coming in as the leader, so that's a big step up for us. But Mikkels, Bach, McKellar, we've definitely gotten better, but we're still not dominant. Can we get a top 10 now? Maybe. Paris-Roubaix is going to be a stretch, but the others, with that depth, is now doable. We have support to make mediocre guys better. And when you have 1 or 2 semi-elite ones, if you get the timing right, positive race day condition, we can just about start to compete. Now, of course, on the punchy side of things, yeah, we're good. 3 guys with an 80, a couple 78s, and a whole bunch of 77s. Means we can go out there with the worst guy being a 77 overall, and all of them, most of them anyway, can climb decently well. You get a Piccioni, a Karaman, a Martinez, and a Morgado out there, supported by like a Gonzalez, Chergai, Miskowskis, and maybe one other just kind of pure punchy guy. That's a group that can perform, so we can do well there. But you throw that in with Cobble, and there's 5-6 guys that are decent combo riders. We may get a decent run on those monuments and classics this year. Maybe not wins, but a lot of top 5s, top 10s. Something we've struggled to do. That's been the one department where it was like, oh, we finished in 19th. That was the best one we've had yet, kind of thing. I think we're going to be inching a little bit higher up. Of course, in the sprints, we still have Peters, Vandenberg to lead us out, and same sort of group behind. Farsi is the new man, who's already pretty decent coming in, just 4 stars, but he's got good potential to do a whole lot more than what he's already offering. So hopefully, as the season goes on, he'll be, already our 3rd option towards the end of this first year, and can take over as one of the top 3 guys by next season. If we don't see a big increase from Morgado over the course of this season, Piccioni, I think, becomes our other candidate, but I kind of want to get him as that support man for Martinez. He's got the 79 Mountain, good, but not quite good enough to really be competing and winning. 73, 75 is good, but not quite good enough to be winning, especially when, you're combining it with the 79 Mountain. But he's got 80 recovery, and he's got good stamina. Resistance isn't there, so he's not somebody to attack. He's a good second and, last guy in the mountains helping out. But he's not really the individual you want running the show himself. Really hoping with that big increase, if we get it, that we can finally hang on to one of these guys, this time being, Martinez, the one we want to hang on to this year. First look at the calendar that I've built thus far. The rest will fill in with the auto planning assistant. But Tour Down Under, Peters is going to be the leader as he's punchy and can sprint, so he can compete to gain time in multiple areas. But Morgado will kind of be a backup in terms of if Peters doesn't do well on Wollonga Hill. But then keep it mostly the same team through Australia for the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race. You got the Torquay race as well. So a lot going on. A few domestiques kind of getting their first action. Don't care about UAE Tour, but Omloop, Het Nieuwsblad, I did pick out some guys for that, as it's, a one day, and there are some favorites. Strade Bianche, a lot of our top guys getting into that one, as that's one of our key races. Milano Sanremo. I've worked hard to try to balance out a calendar that has, maybe 2 objectives back to back, but definitely not stretching over a month as much as I wanted to get Huggins on Strade Bianche. I've got him for, the Vlaanderen races. This one was a bit of a stretch across here, but definitely only did that with guys that don't have the Giro. Did not put any of these objectives on guys that are coming up on the Giro, but I'll stretch to about here just for a couple domestiques, but definitely not leaders. So Martinez might be doing the Vlaanderen races, but I'm not giving it to him as an objective with the Giro coming up soon after. And like I was saying, I'm going to go with kind of the old guard for the Giro Vuelta, and then we'll put a lot of the new guys in, give them a chance to develop a little bit longer and see what they can do with the Tour, and Morgado to be our leader there. Same group that did the Giro is going to do La Vuelta, and then we've got a few key guys, strong guys for Il Lombardia at the end. I have more riders than last year. Fatigue shouldn't be as big of an issue, but also one thing to help us with that is we have no early objectives. So our preseason training, I'm going to bring everyone in at normal, which means we're probably not going to do as well down in Australia. That's okay. It's not an objective. I'm going to sacrifice that one race to set our season up more nicely, as none of our objectives begin until March. Tour Down Under, stage 4. Things have been complicated. For one, like I was saying, we're not giving anybody proper preseason fitness. The race day conditions aren't great, but they're not bad considering we got a decent draw out of it. But Vandenberg, you can see it's pouring. Vandenberg was in a crash a long time ago. But the breakaway was a breakaway that Bahrain Victorious decided they never wanted that breakaway to be a breakaway. It had some numbers in it. There's now one rider left on the front, and they have pushed tempo really hard until really the last 10-15 kilometers. They've lifted just a little bit, but all race long has been a heavy push. The 5 riders that Vandenberg was with weren't coming back and weren't coming back and weren't coming back. Their gap was staying exactly the same kilometer by kilometer. So I put him on the front, pushed a little bit harder on the pullback, and we pulled back some time, but then saw that he was getting down on energy. So I sat up, let the others ride, and again, they weren't gaining any ground whatsoever. So I put Vandenberg back on the front after he had recovered slightly, and he starts to pull that gap back just a little bit. They're nearly there, but then he's nearly out of energy. So I sit him up. They just barely bridge the gap as that Bahrain Victorious rider goes down, Bauhaus. And with Vandenberg very low on energy, the group makes contact. As now 2 more guys. This is our second and third rider, and it's just the 2 of us, it looks like, as Mikkels and Karaman go down. And Karaman was looking really good today. There's Bauhaus. And here's the 2 of them. Not that far off the back right now. They've got a decent chance to get back up here if we push hard. Vandenberg is a little over a minute behind this, but with no energy. These guys are just fine as a small group bridges the gap and joins them as they're getting back up to speed. That was the other thing here. The tricky part here is you got to get back up to speed from 0. Oh my gosh, Vandenberg just goes down again. And they're talking about abandoning the race. He crashed on his own. That is Vandenberg crashing out from the looks of it, from the sounds of it. And that's it. Vandenberg. Great. 4 crashes on the day for us. We're not doing anything crazy here, but we've been caught out more than any other team by far in this one. We're not the only ones to crash by any stretch of the imagination, but quantity is well above what anybody else is doing. The number of riders that are down definitely exceeds 1 per team, but certainly not enough to make up 4 crashes in 1 team, as that's Bauhaus that we have now caught up to. But this hurts. Vandenberg already down, out. He's going to be injured for quite some time, and we're coming up on that final climb. These guys really need to bridge this gap much sooner than what they have done so far. But this is so technical through here that it is really hard to bridge this gap, and I don't know really what more I can do, because this is just going to get us to the back of the peloton, not to the front, and we're going to have to start preparing. We might be 4-man group for the end of this one. I don't know if an 80 is enough here. Alright, we are making contact at least with these 2, and finally have. Karaman is the better one for the situation here. So Karaman's going to follow Mikkels, and Mikkels is going hard, going forward, and he's going to gel right now. Up ahead at the front of the group, 132. The group just split again. We'll check in a moment to see kind of where they're at, but for now they're into the middle. Mikkels has made it to the middle of that group of 46. Now both guys in the middle of that 46. We're already climbing. This is the climb of the day. Norton Summit Road.
This climb is feared by many riders.
Alright, now is where it's getting steep. Doesn't stay like this for long. Go ahead and push that 85. And let's check in on how these two are doing. Okay, Mikkels has made it to the front. Karaman has lost the wheel. Things come back together, but not because of Mikkels. $10K to go to the finish line. The rain might have something to do with why we're getting a little bit of stutter here. So Huggins, there is Morgado in place. Peters way the hell back here. What's going on, buddy? There's McKellar. McKellar's going to help him pull forward. Mikkels and Karaman are closer than Peters and McKellar almost. Huggins, Morgado putting the group under pressure. Morgado runs out of red bar though. Huggins is going to go over that KOM point. Picks up 16. Or is up to 16. Bonneau is up in third, by the way, in the KOM. McKellar's got 6 points. There's McKellar in position with Huggins out front. So we can go 9. Morgado recovering some red bar, and Peters has made it into position. 4K to go. What's the rest of the profile look like? Not much of a descent, which means as the top is right there, if you're going to make a move, now's the time. So McKellar's going to go 99 and get us out of speed. Huggins try to break toe. I don't think that Mikkels or Karaman have ever kind of made it back up here. No. Okay, Morgado, I want him to sprint over the top with Keller dropping back. And then we're going to have him sit up. Oh, what happened to your sprint? Come on. I know you didn't have a lot of red bar, but you didn't even use what you had. Front 3. It did split the field. If they get caught, these guys, McKellar can... Well, it's 1.9. Huggins is going to start his sprint while Morgado is still leading out to Peters. That's Quinn. Peters. Now we can sprint coming out of the corner. Nope, I should have sprinted before. Nope, maybe it... Oh, that last little corner, that last little technical right before the finish took the win away. But we are going to get 6 seconds for Peters. That's good. That's good. 6 seconds is fine. I forgot to sprint for McKellar. Vandenberg has broken his neck. Apparently he's lucky to be alive, but with a mid-February return, it looks like we're talking about a small fracture. Not like full-on break. He's not going to be crippled or anything from this, but man, oh man, that's rough. Stage 5, Willunga Hill stage, and we are coming up on the hill here on the left-hand side here in just a moment. 2 riders left, actually just 2 riders, much easier ride today, and they are down to 46 seconds, so they're going to be caught in just a moment. And you can see that, you know, that pressure is on. We've got some guys right near the front where we want them to be. And I do have one extra kind of bonus thing I am looking at and going for here on these couple of kilometers to go. And that is going to be Huggins. Huggins, let's go 85. Who's leading you out? Karaman? Okay, so Huggins, you're going to follow Karaman, and Karaman is going to lead you out. And what they are up to is I want Huggins. He currently leads the KOM, so I want him to pick up some points here. 1.9k from the top. Try to go through first and lock up the KOM. So Kramen doing the dirty work, and then I'm going to have Huggins kind of push on right here at the top. There you go. And then Kramen follows him through. He'll ease off. Now we will protect him. And that's 28 points for Huggins. Kramen has 16 in second. There is 16 more available, which means Monike, if he gets 30, can still win this thing. But that's just about KOM locked up. So at the very least, we've got that going for us today. And then we're still looking really good. Peloton, we actually split the Peloton a little bit, but it does come back together as we go to leave the plateau here at the top of the Walanga Hill. And then we're going to reset, take the left-hander. And right after that left-hander is right where we were at when we started this thing up. There is that left-hander after that tractor, and poof, right back to where we were. You can see the hill up to our left, and now just 6k to go. It's time to get on with the program. Now, race day condition, not very good today, and it's going to be hard to get a win with this type of race day condition. This is a little more of what's expected for guys that are, 81% fitness, 83, 80, 83. So low 80s for race day condition. This is more expected. We got lucky the other day, and we do have those bonus seconds. For now, it puts Peters in 5th at 20 seconds down. Another good result today could easily put us in a podium spot, or maybe even with the overall. And we certainly have the riders for it. We just don't necessarily have the race day condition for it. And like I said, I didn't want to overcommit to this one race at the start of the year at the expense of a lot of fatigue later on in the season. All right, so Mickels is going to get up to speed here really quick, and he's got a good flat rating, but with a -2, he's only a 75 today. So we're just going to go flat out with him, as it's already just 4.6k to go. A couple guys are feeling it, but he's putting the field under stress, and just 83 in the Peloton as we begin the climb and have just 3k to go. So Kramen, 97, take it over, try to break toe. Next gel. Now 2.5. Okay, red bar is gone. Kramen, give me another 100 meters or so. There you go. Now McKellar. I'll go 96 for him, and Kramen needs to get out of the way. That's a couple guys bursting past and not having a very clear racetrack ahead of us. So that did get things clogged up a little bit, but you can see we are now in recovery. Peters is not looking good for a chance, but Morgado is still there and looking strong. 1.3. McKellar is going to sprint. Huggins is going to sprint. Morgado, it's 900 meters. And Peters, no, this is not going to be a top 3. Not going to be a top 3 without that race day condition. These guys just didn't have the red bar to keep up with Sean Quinn. Sean Quinn, that's going to give him the overall. Radaloo and Vine, I think we're up there. Monike gets 6th, so he does not take the KOM, so we at least got the KOM. But Morgado was only 9th. McKellar, 11th. Huggins, 14th. Peters was 17th. And Pidcock's just inside the top 20. So Sean Quinn does move into the race lead just ahead of Joseph Marsh. Peters just off the podium, but it is the top 5. That's still good considering the race day condition situation we were in. Marsh is on top because of all the sprint points that he's picking up. He's been dominating the sprints, but Huggins has got that KOM with Kramen right there with Sean Quinn. And then we're looking at Peters, 2nd in the under 25s. So we're in a good state. It's going to be worth some points to start the season, but it's not going to be a win. There is one stage left. It's a sprint stage, though. I'm going to bypass that one. So that is going to do it for the opener to the new season. The 2027 season is now underway. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.